Okay, just let me know when to start. We will, just like a couple of minutes, okay? Yeah.
So I think our meeting is live now.
Okay. So shall I start?
Yes, Neha, please.
Okay. So hello and good morning to one and all present here. I guess everyone is excited for this webinar. Hello, ma'am. So, and all of us must be, of course, and all of us must be very excited for to learn a very most popular framework for Python, that is a Flask. And what is Flask and all about introduction, basic, through from the basic and everything we are going to learn in this session. And from the very best, uh, Mr. T.S. Karthik, who is a full stack developer at Tech Mahindra in Hyderabad. And and as we all know, as we all are the programmers, so we know the hustle of writing a program for the front end is kind of difficult. So Flask makes it so easy to develop. And so I request Karthik, Mr. T.S. Karthik, to proceed further.
Thank you, Sneha. Thank you. And first, formally, I want to thank Saraswati Engineering College and SJIT for giving me this opportunity to interact with the students. And I'll just start up with some just where I can help you what we will be learning today. It's just something like introduction to the Flask. So I'll straight away get into the point and I'll start it. So which will engage the students. So I'll just just let me know. Are you able to see my screen now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Just in the meanwhile, I'll just ask a few questions and just help me with is it audio clear or something like that, just to make this seminar smooth. So what we will be having here is introduction to the Flask, a basic introduction, not completely getting into a core code or something which I just trying to reach out is someone who knows the basics of Python, someone who is able to do some basic Python code on all the execution part will be able to develop the Flask applications. So this is something which I have made a small documentation or the something which you people can explore it and do it along with me, or else just follow the course which I am about to explain it. So regarding prerequisites to learn the Flask is prerequisites. It's something which the basics you are supposed to know before learning the Flask. The basics of Python and functions and the OOPS concepts. OOPS is something object-oriented concepts which are in the Python. Basics of Python is something which you are supposed to know the flow, if flow statements like if else and all that. But don't worry, even though you are not that much exposure to the Python, don't worry. This is something which I planned for the backbenchers and the middle benchers, not for the first benchers. So where most of the code which will be live, I will show you how which code will work what. I mean, I'll show you the code and I will say what it does and I'll show you the output. That is how we will exploring the basic application. And after the session, you are able to do a web application with Flask where someone could give you a feedback form for your website, or someone you can contact any businessman who don't have a website, or let him know that you can have a contact form for your website. Let me do and help you that. So that is the thing and agenda for this session, where you can at least get the user input details using Flask, and that details will be saved in our database. This is something which applies with CRUD operations, where you call is a CRUD, create, read, update, delete. And we will be doing it as per the industry standards. So don't worry if you don't know Python and don't know nothing about the Flask also, don't worry, please do pitch in and follow this, and you will definitely, it's worth it. The next 1 hour will definitely worth it for you. And I'll show you at least the idea of which code and what code will work what. I mean, I'll give you the links and I will show you how to copy and do this application. That's the simple funda, and no need to worry about, I don't know about the Python functions and oops, all that. So don't worry about it. I'll make it smooth for you guys. So basic function is something which we were supposed to know, because this is Flask is something about, it's written in Python. It's a, later we will come to with the Flask, but the Flask is something which is already written in Python. Before that, what is a function? A function is a group of statements where you can execute and you can call it anywhere in your program. So this is something where if I write the basic syntax of the function is, you need to write it with a def and write the function name, and you were supposed to have some statements in that function, and you are supposed to call that function anywhere in your program. And if already has you were a bit confused about what is a function and what is a method, this is something which if someone knows about a class, if the function is written inside a class, it's called method. And without a class, only you write a function, that is function. Function and methods are both are similar, but we programmers define different words for it. Whenever it's something inside the class, we call it method. Same, it's a function, but we call it a method because it's inside a class. If there is no class and we write only a function, that is called function. This is something which function and method, both are same. So whenever in the code, if I say a function or a method, don't get confused. Both are same. If I call it a method, that is the function is something inside a class. So this is something which a basic object-oriented program, just this is, don't get tensed or something, array, what is this, all that. I'll make it simple for you. This is something a program which, this is the last screenshot for this session. Okay, trust me. So this is something which I defined a class, and I have given two variables, attribute 1 and attribute 2, naming it as a mammal and a dog. Attribute 2 has a dog. And I have defined a method. See, I'm calling it as a method. Why? Because it's inside a class. If something outside the class, if I write, a different function and something which is with the self, that is called function. And but right now I'm calling it as a method because it's inside a class. So I have given two statements with self.attribute1. Self is something with currently in a layman language, I want to tell you that, see, when two persons are talking, something like I'm Karthik and someone is my friend is Ashok. And if I want to interact with him, it doesn't make sense that Karthik wants to talk to you. I will say that I want to talk to you. I mean self here. Something which the Python has introduced the self keyword, which is like self is something which is an instance of an object. I mean, inside a class, we would have objects and all that. But for in a layman language, in a simple word, self is something that the Python has introduced where if two persons are talking with each other, that doesn't make sense, right? Karthik wants to talk to you, or something telling your name and letting him know that I'm want. So you will use the verbs, right? I am, I. Just in a similar manner, think that self is something which works as like that. Okay, so I have created an object which is something like Roger equal to dog. This is where we have initiated the object. If I don't write this line, this class is useless in this program. So whenever the class, if we define a class, it has to be initiated with object. So something we have to create that, create an object for that class. So without this, nothing to use as a class. There is no sense to you mention and define a class in a program. And simple, we are using print and Roger, and we are using with the self. We are giving the output. The output of this, like project.attribute1 will be giving an output as mammal1, and the function is both these will be called, which is mammal and the dog. This is the basic, which is the OOPS concepts. And if it's like Greek and Latin, don't worry. Now, currently, I'll be giving you a step-to-step regarding how the Flask works and how it will be started and all that. So please do get streamed. So firstly, what we are supposed to do is, just give me a moment. Okay. So first, to make sure we wanted to start a Flask application. So firstly, what we are supposed to do is we need to see the basic things which are installed in our desktop or a laptop, which are available or not. The first thing is Python. We were supposed to check the Python is available in our laptop or not. So this is something which we could see with the basic command prompt. We can check Python version. So if Python is already installed, you are good to go. You will be you are supposed to see something like this. Guys, are you able to see my screen? Just confirm yes.
Yes, sir, very clearly.
Great. Okay, so the first thing, we have started it now, guys. Please, the next 40 minutes will be very interesting for you. The last presentation, just take it light. Okay, first thing, what we are checking is, we are checking the basic thing, which the Python is installed in our laptop or a desktop or not. So we were supposed to give this command in our command prompt. Command prompt is something, Windows, go to CMD search and get into this and type Python /version. There are other commands to check the Python installed or not. For now, just stick to this Python /version. If Python is already installed, you were supposed to see this. The latest version or the old version, anything, any version is good to go with the Flask for now. If it's not installed, and if it says something like not installed or something in an English language where we are supposed to understand, okay, the output is not this, might be Python is not installed. Okay, just simply, okay, just simply go to the official website of python.org. This is the official website for the Python, where you are supposed to download the latest version and install it. That's it. Once installed, forget about the environment setup and all that. Just download and install it, and it makes sure that open the command prompt and see that the Python is available in your laptop or not. That's it. So first step, Python is available or not. Make sure it's installed. And if it's not, go to the python.website and install it. Done. Now, make sure for basic Python programs, we can work with Python IDE, which is like a code editor. There are more than like 10 editors in the market for Python or the web development or server-side scripting, all that. But I mostly suggest VS Code. Of course, there are PyCharm and all that in the market, but I suggest VS Code because it have plugins and all that, which makes our life simpler. I'll show you why I suggest VS Code. Maybe these things will work in the other IDEs also, but I'm just good with VS Code, where the easy installation and all that, which help us to make sure that it will make our life easier while executing the programs. That's it. So make sure you download the VS Code and install it, and make sure that you check all the checkboxes while installing the VS Code. Don't worry about is it a virus or something like that. Make sure you check all the checkboxes. Why I'm telling you and stressing that, because once you do that, you will get an option that, so let's say I want to create a project for this session now. Let's say project 1. So I'm naming it as PROJ1 in creating a folder for the Flask web application. I'm creating this folder for the Flask web application with a name PROJ1. So why I said to install VS Code and check all the check marks while installing it. And if already installed and you don't know, I mean, you are not sure whether while installing I have checked it or not, just uninstall and try to install it again. Download and install it again, and make sure you check all the checkboxes again. Why I'm stressing with that? Because when I open this folder, I will get an option, open with code. To get this option, I'm stressing it out that install and make sure that you check all the checkboxes while installing the VS Code. If already installed the VS Code, make sure that you uninstall and install it again, and you will definitely get this option. Open this folder and right click, show more options, open with code. So this is something where it will help me to open the VS Code. Okay, 2 things has completed till now. I have checked the Python is installed or not. That is the basic requirement to develop the Flask application. Second thing, I have created a project folder, and before that I have downloaded VS Code and installed it, and I have been sure that I have checked all the checkboxes to get that open with code option. Simple. I mean, if you are able to open manually with file, open the folder, that is fine. But this is something which makes your life simpler. So this is what something I just want to. This is the standard, industry standard, where you are supposed to have this option and use it to make it simple. So or else if something is you don't want to, you can just simply add the folder, open the folder, and you make sure that the Flask web application project folder which we want to build it. This is where we were the setup, the basic setup. We have created the folder and opened with the VS Code. Now the first thing and the second thing, foremost thing we have to do is, the thing is, Flask is a web application which is developed in Python programming language itself. It's something developed in Python. Why Flask? Why not any other? We do have different frameworks to develop the web application. So there is a lot of difference between, let me help me with 1.txt. Okay, there is a lot of difference between website and web application. Okay, so website is something which it will be static. I mean, you are not supposed to give any inputs like your name or anything. Only you are supposed to click on the images or on the links, where it will be redirected to the next page, or it will be redirected to some other. Let's say example, if you open any news app, it will not ask you to enter any news or something. Nowadays, okay, there is something, but let's say in a simple manner, if you open any blog, if you want to explore any knowledge-oriented websites, you were supposed to search the keyword and you are supposed to open it. It will be static, complete. You are not supposed to enter any details or something. Web application is something which we are using, Facebook, Instagram, all which are related to the user inputs. I mean, you are supposed to give your profile information and all that through front end, which is forms. Let's take it into a basic standard. Let's say if any website doesn't have any forms, it's called website. And if something which have a form where you can enter the data, consider it as a web application, in a layman language, just to consider it. Now, we are not here to design the website with the Flask. We are here to design the web application with the Flask. So Flask is something already a library. It's already a library made in Python where you can develop the web applications. So Python is something, it has a huge library where they wanted to explore the web applications too. That's the where already some programmers or some organizations came into picture and developed some frameworks. Framework or a library is something which you have already a code in it. While doing this session, you will clearly understood why I'm considering the framework is something already a pre-built code, which is already developed by someone and you are supposed to use it. See, when I wanted to learn something new, I always thought of like not writing the code. I wanted to see how the code works, copy and paste, and why couldn't have a complete application like that? Because it makes your life simple, right? See, we do already someone write the code. If you want to enter any details where the client, the other end of the people could get your details by retrieving from the database. This is something web application which will be made with the Flask. So 3 things covered: Python installation, second, VS Code installation, third is what is the difference between website, web application, and why Flask. So forget about the Flask keyword also. let's concentrate on what I can do with the Flask. Let's see that. What exactly the agenda I can do with the Flask is, I want to make a web application where I can give the details, and that has to be saved in the database. This is the basic thing, right? If you want to start with something like if your college website also, consider it as. So at the contact page, you will have something fields where the parents or else you were supposed to enter your details to let the college know that someone is approaching the college or someone wants some data with the contact form or with the info page or something like that. So that is considered, and we will be doing something like that, which is basic, but it will land you to know and give you idea about developing the web application using this project. This will think it like as a skeleton where you can get all the details, how to insert the data with the user inputs in the HTML form, and that has to be entered into the database. So this is the main thing which every organization or everyone wants it. So this is the thing which we will be learning today. So for suppose I'll just delete this. So for till now, we have just created the folder and it is blank, and there is nothing and no files have been added in this project folder, and I have named it project 1. So we have coming to a new concept, which is environment, virtual environment. Don't get into that word. Virtual environment is something where, for suppose this is my consider it as a laptop, and for suppose I'm doing the project 1, and this is the project 2, and this is project 3, and this is project 4. So just consider it as this is something which I have made with Python 3.8.1. Just don't bother about the versions and all that. Just consider this is as the project which I developed in Python 3.8.1. And this is something which I have developed in 3.8.2 and so on. Here, see, the Python, maybe my project, some other feature or the application in my project which might doesn't support the 3.2, or the application which over here in the project I'm developing it might not support with 3.8.1. Okay, so I'm just being into the advanced concept, so sorry about it. Let's say in your laptop, can you install 2 Python versions? No, you can only install 1 Python version, right? Only 1 Python version. In your, just try to do it. It will it may be replace it, or it may be ask you to delete uninstall the previous version and install the new one. Make it, just make it simple. Can you install 2 Chromes versions in your laptop? If it's a Windows laptop, can you install 2 Chrome versions? No, only you are supposed to install it and uninstall it. Maybe if the versions are different, maybe you can, but don't get that much technical. Just in a layman language, just for us to understand, you cannot install 2 same version Chromes in your laptop. So virtual environment which Python brought is something where this is the concept which you can work on it. Something like, if I want the project to work with 3.8.1, I'll be creating an environment where all my project will be dependent on 3.8.1. And this is something where I will create another virtual environment where all my project applications will be related to 3.8.2, and I can add those any other applications and all that separately. In simple words, I'll just make it simple. If suppose, if suppose this is something which I want to do my project. This is a project 1. And this is a project 2. So here in the project 1, this is something which I will be working with different versions of something like databases. Okay, this is project 1, which I'll be working with Oracle database. This is a project 2, which I'll be working with SQL. So consider this. Regarding the setup of this, there shouldn't be no complexities. To avoid all that, we have been the Python has been introduced a virtual environment where it will act as a separate environment. I mean, you need to install all the things from the start, from the scratch, and that will work only for this project folder. I'll just simply make it another simple. Virtual environment is something which all the softwares will only work for this project folder only. If I create another project folder, I was supposed to install from the scratch again in that project folder to make sure that it will be hassle free, right? I mean, in the olden days, while we were learning, we used to struggle for the installation itself. Like, my friend was supposed to install the new version. By the end of the project, see, we are the backbenchers, and by that time we almost work at the end time only. So by the time new version was supposed to release, and I was been working with the new version trying to install it. So something to avoid those conflicts, this is something which your Python has given you a simplification that, okay, install whatever you want in this environment, install whatever you want in this environment. These two don't get conflicted with this softwares. Okay. For now, just think that it's something like a box or something which works only for this project folder. Virtual environment is something which it will works only for this folder. And if you want to install the latest versions in the other folder, you can go ahead and create that and work with the virtual environment. So this is the basic, which the keyword, make sure that you remember the virtual environment is something which helps to make sure your software version stay within that folder itself, not in your laptop or it stays in the laptop, but doesn't conflict with the versions in your laptop. So, okay, I think that is something which made it clear, but currently I'll make sure that it will be. So the thing is, with the VS Code, you can get the inbuilt terminal. So this is the terminal, and this is something which it is redirected to I have created the folder in the desktop. So it is showing that in the project, and my terminal is currently in this project now. In this project, the terminal is currently in this project. And the first step to set up the project of the Flask web application is I need to set up virtual environment. So first, supposed to see Python installed or not. Second, VS Code installation. Make sure you check all the checkboxes. Third, virtual environment. This is something which virtual environment is for only this project folder, not for any other project. This is for to make it life simple. We are creating a virtual environment, and all the dependencies will be installed in this virtual environment only. So to create a virtual environment, we need to open the terminal in the VS Code. Terminal, new terminal, VS Code. We have the basic command which says Python virtual environment. This line says that, I'll just explain you. This line is saying that, okay, Python install virtual environment for this folder with a name virtual environment. Just I basically generally I stick with this name itself to make it my life simple. You can name anything else. This is something just you are naming the virtual environment. Make sure that whenever you open this project folder, you run this environment. So I'm not running it just now. Make sure that I'm creating the virtual environment. This line is saying that Python create a virtual environment with a name venv. This is something the line says Python create a virtual environment with this name. Okay, the folder is created. This is something which all my dependencies and softwares will be installed in this software automatically. So after entering it, again, I'll be about to see this. So here, I have just created the environment. I have not get into the environment. This is something like I have just downloaded. I have not installed it, or I have not opened it or something. Let's think something like I have just downloaded the Chrome and installed it, but I have not opened it. So let's think like a project is open to open a website in a Chrome. For now, I have just downloaded and installed it, but I have not opened the Chrome to enter the web address and all that. So to activate this virtual environment, I am supposed to write the scripts venv and tab venv, enter the tab, scr tab, activate. Okay, This line is something which asking the Python, a Python, create a virtual environment with a name this. And the next step is, okay, I have created this, but I need to get into that environment. I mean, I need to get into that application, I mean, software. For that, this is the basic script. This is no need to this thing. You will always get all these things in the internet. I'm just trying to figure out and explain it that what this line does. This is just to activate the virtual environment, and it will help that you will be entering into your virtual environment. So enter, okay. This line says that, okay, I have created and currently you are in the virtual environment. So third task completed. I just want to repeat, this is the main thing which it's an industry standard, because currently if I work with my office also, I was supposed to create these virtual environments and do the work. So make sure that only these 3 commands you are supposed to. There are other virtual environments which as per the industry standards that will be changed. But as for now, this is something which we are good to go to develop the web Flask application with virtual environment. So this is something which the line 1 says, hey Python, create a virtual environment with the name venv and activate it. This is the something which no need to remember on all that. Just type in the Google how to activate venv, you will get this command. And after activating this command, you will be getting something like this. If you are not getting something like this, make sure that you uninstall the Python and install it again. This is something which it comes with Python. So maybe your Python was not completely installed, or it might be, there might be some conflicts, antivirus and all that stuff. So make sure that if something which you are about to see, and this is something which your given name. I already told that at this place, you can give your own virtual environment name, and that will be appear over here. For now, I have given this name and it's appeared over here. So the first thing for the basic setup, we have created the virtual environment, and this environment, I'm supposed to install all my dependencies for developing the web application. So what we are supposed to do is we want to develop the Flask application. So I need Flask in this folder. Just till now, what I did is I created a folder and I have created an environment where I want to install all my software versions in it. And as this folder is something which is related to the Flask, right? This project is something which a Flask application. So I need to install Flask only in this folder. That is the beauty of virtual environment. I am not installing it in my complete laptop. I'm installing this Flask only in this folder. So the Flask will work only in this folder, not completely in your laptop. Okay. So for this, to install the Flask in the project 1 folder, I need to give this command, pip install Flask. Pip is something, a package manager. That is, for the Windows, we have .exe, right? For the Linux, it will be .deb files you are supposed to download and install. So the Python is also having something like, okay, if you want anything, the packages, I mean, my frameworks or my libraries which are developed in Python, you want to install them, use pip. So pip will work only for the packages or the frameworks which are developed in Python. Not that if I write pip install Chrome, no. If it's developed in Python, okay, it will work. Pip is only a Python package manager. It means that the applications or the frameworks or the any code which is developed in Python will be working, and it will help you to install in your project folder. In layman language, I explained in simple layman language. Now don't try installing any other software with pip. No, it doesn't work. Only the packages which are developed in Python will work with the pip command. So to install the Flask, I'm using this command. No need to, again, I'm telling you, no need to remember all these things. Just go with the flow. Just type in how to install Flask in my folder. You will get the answer that pip install Flask. So no need to remember or something, but make sure the steps which I'm stating it out again and again is, I want that to fetch into your brains that First, create a folder. Next, VS Code installation, open it, create a virtual environment. For that, I need to search for how to create virtual environment. Then I need to install Flask. So for that, pip install Flask. Okay. So now it will be looking like this. And with this, I'm about to finish pip install Flask. So Flask successfully installed. All this, etc., and all this nonsense, just don't care about it. For us, all I need is Flask 2.03, FLSK and FLSK 2.03, which is successfully installed. And again, I'm switching it out. If something you couldn't say about this successfully installed, don't worry about it. It's all the fault within the Python installation. Uninstall the Python, install the Python again. It was supposed to work. And make sure you follow the steps, create the folder and all that. Okay. So for now, everything is clear, and we have created. Now help me with this. Okay. Okay. This is something which the code is written. Okay. The first line simply says that, okay, see, if you know a basic Python, this is something which I want to import date and time, all that already written the code, you want to import it, right? See, in the terminal, I have just installed Flask, but our Python is not that much intelligent, or Python code is not that much intelligent, right? Array, already Python Flask is installed, you can directly write the code. No. This is something which you need to specify that from Flask, import Flask. I mean, array Flask already installed in this folder, right? From that, import that, all those libraries and all that in this file. Okay. The first line simply says that, okay, you already installed the Flask, right? So from Flask, import Flask. And if your Flask is not installed, this line will throw an error to you. The VS Code will throw an error to you. I mean, there will be something underline or there something like that. See, this is something which you write the same code. I mean, you have copied the same code from minimal and you have pasted it. But if this line is something showing like yellow line, something like that, if you're working on the VS Code, it simply states that the Flask is not properly installed in your folder. So try to pip install Flask, try to run that code again. So for now, I have done it right. So this is something which from Flask, install Flask. So this is something saying that from Flask, import all the libraries and help me to run the code. This is something which, in simple words, the third line is saying that create an app which is with the underscore name is something, it's a string, and it is something by default, it has been in our Python program. I mean, for now, this line, what it is saying is, over in the terminal, what we have done is, we have created environment, right? So the same way, this line is in the layman language to make you understand. I'm saying that this is not completely the technical. I just want to make sure that to understand what the code, exact code is. The third line is saying that, okay, we have installed it, all the libraries in this file. Now create the app now. Create an app. Here, app is not your mobile app and all that. In these terminologies, we call the web application as an app. That is what web application is, something which the user can input the data and all that, right? So this line is something saying that simply create that app, only that. Now the dunder and all that, we need to jump into the technicals that will kill our time now. So I'm just trying to explain what this line does is, same way what we ask the Python here is to create virtual environment. Hey Python, create virtual environment with a name. So the same way, I'm asking the Flask that app equal to create an Flask, a default Flask app, okay? And this is something which the main logic works behind this Flask. This is something from the fifth line. The Flask basically works with root. Roots is something like endpoints. So if I open any website, see, EN 2.0x, quick start, and all these are endpoints. If I close this, I have removed one endpoint and entered, jumped into different page. Okay. So I have removed 2.0x also, enter. it might, okay, page not found. So 2.0x web page is not available. Okay. So something, if I take out all these endpoints, okay, this is the default for this project. So there were no endpoints like Flask project. Okay, let me try. No. So these are, if I click on the donate here over the link, the endpoint will something show like a related name to donate. So I have clicked on it. So, okay, transaction, all that, something showing like this is the endpoint where something which this web application and all that data is saved in this web page. Okay. So if I go to contribute again or website, okay. So this is here in the Flask endpoint, all this data has been in the index dot something like index.html file. How we supposed to write? If someone is familiar with front end part, you endpoint is something like, just consider this is an HTML page. Flask is something HTML page. So when I'm clicking on this, so this is something endpoint. The parallel project is something endpoint which is redirected to this my page. So I'll make sure that you will get understand more. Okay. So this slash is the default route for your port. I mean, okay, why regarding the Flask, your Flask comes with pre-installed server. In olden days, all these programming languages, we were supposed to get the servers third party. For example, if you're familiar with Java, Tomcat, Apache, and all that, I need to install it and make sure that it gets connected and make sure that the version and all that code has to be written. But your Flask framework is something someone written very intelligently, that a basic server is came and pre-installed with the Flask. So already I have installed the Flask, right? So the basic server is already installed in your project folder, which will run locally, not globally, which will run locally. So this is something tells that if I write home, so home page, I was supposed to write home. I was supposed to open the home page. If I something like SCOE, so I'm supposed to open this SCOE page to get this output. So forget about this. Forget about this line for now, fifth line. So the sixth line is something which the function is written with a name. Hello world is something, the function name, and it will return the string hello world. So basically this code is saying that, okay, I have installed and imported the Flask, create an app which is supposed to be a Flask app. This line is saying that create a Flask app, and this line is saying that route to an endpoint where the endpoint should be SCOE, or else this is something the default. If I give something which is SCOE, this is something which the default route will go to that. I'll show you in the meanwhile, just give him a moment. And this route is directly linked with this function. So after the every route, you are supposed to write the function about this functionality. Okay, let me help you with this. For now, this is the basic app, and to run this app, what we are supposed to do is make sure you are in the virtual environment. So there are two options to run this Flask app. One is something which set, not the caps, set Flask, all the caps, app is equal to, name it anything, hello or anything you want, name it anything, is equal to hello, something which, this is something which I'm showing option one. There are two options to run your Flask app. This is something set Flask underscore app is equal to hello. What we'll do is you are just naming a temporary name to your Flask app. Okay, to run this is something which Flask run. This is something which a default server is created with the Flask app with the name hello. And most probably this is, we are not, I mean, you are not suggested to use this. The second option is something your you are supposed to add the code in this program, which is if underscore name equal to, I'll just help, underscore main underscore, this is something if method. Don't worry about this code, just all you need to do is understand what it does. Okay, so I'm just okay, okay, it run it, no worries. So this is the local host and this is a default port number for the Flask. 5000 is the default port number for the Flask. I can change it with the code, but we are not getting into that much technical over here. What it is doing is, previously I'm setting the app with a temporary name and running it manually from over here. But Python already do have some code which this line is something which helps you to app.run. App.run, you could simply say that if underscore underscore e, this is something which underscore underscore name is equal to, you are saying that it is the main function. You are just run this app. In the layman language, just think these two lines is something which I'm supposed to run the Flask app. I'm supposed to write these two lines. For now, make sure you understand this. So we will now open this. Your localhost web server is running in the background now. So to open this, control and click the mouse button. This is something which you will see the output in your browser. Okay, I'll just simplify it once again. So just give me a moment. Okay, let the server run in the background. Okay, what this code is saying is, so by the default, it's saying there is no endpoints. Directly it is running in your local server. So I said, this is something endpoint, right? If I write home over here and save it and open this browser, now refresh it, it will not found this code, hello world with the p tag. I need to supposed to go to that endpoint. The endpoint name is what? Home. So /home, enter. This is what this code does. So generally what we will do is, this is for the home page and control C. I said that this is all about the basic code. I will write about page. About is something, and this is like, I will edit, this is about page. Save. So what I'm doing is already this code has given me some documentation that how to run this Flask app. I mean, in this page itself, you can see in the command prompt, you are supposed to run these two commands to get the local host or the server activated. But I have given you the two extra lines where it will make your life simple. By writing these two lines, you can just click this play button and you can simply activate your server. So this is something which, now this is the which I have discussed about it, right? Here, this is something, consider it as an home page, and this is something about page. So if I run it again, control, save it, run it. Okay, there is an error. Why? Because in a Python, you are not supposed to have two function names. See, I have just blindly, I have copied this and this, and I was being excited to show you the endpoints. I have only edited this, but I have not changed the function name. In Python, you are not supposed to have two function names. Mistakes happens. So save it with a different function name. Now run this code. Yep, done. So your server, local server is running. Press control, click on the link. Website is open. So this is something, the home page. Consider it as an, okay, this is not the good, but consider it as an home page. But we do have another endpoint, which is about. Is it about? Okay. Make sure that, okay, see, A is capital. Make sure that control, okay. Yes, this is about page. So something now you have, I think you have understood about the basic, these 3 lines code, what they are doing. This is something, the first line is, this shows that if it's only slash, it's something like the default web page of your local server, which is 5000. The port number is 5000. You can change it to anything, whichever you like, but that is something which we are not considered about for now. So this only the slash is something, a default homepage of your local server. And after slash, if this is case sensitive, so make sure that you give the same name to your endpoint. Function name, give anything for now. Just make sure that these two link each other. I have given the function name about. Make sure that as per your function name, give any function name, but make sure that in a program, in an app.py, no two functions should have the same name, and return something which is string. So okay, so people, I think something familiar with HTML and CSS and all that, but okay, let me consider that you people are not supposed to have the knowledge about HTML and CSS also, but don't worry. Same like Flask for for the front end also, we do have a framework where we can simply copy and paste. Okay, let me think that you people don't have any idea about the front end part. But what this return is doing is, whatever I have written it is being posted in web pages. Whatever after return, whatever this function is returning is, this function is returning in an HTML format in a web page. So something which the HTML content is about to post with this function. Let's simple. I mean, this is something which we are about to develop the web application, and our function Python code is doing something which it is posting the web content using the Python code in the web pages, in the about. But I have not created any about web page or any localhost page. I have not created any about.html or something like that, but it is posting the content in a HTML format. This is what our Python is doing for now. So just like in general, I can't write all the HTML UI content by simply saying that h1 and all that. Hello, this is h1. All this I can't write. I need a separate file for my front end part and also for my back end part. Just in simple words, to understand that you guys know this is not something which I want to return in a HTML format or in a web page. So for now, what I will do is I need a separate structure to have my front end part for the application. So any web application needs front end part and the back end part. We have set up the back end part by pip install Flask. We have installed the backend because Flask pre-installed. I mean, in the Flask itself, we have SQLite backend database, which is already installed in our project folder, which is project 1. So I have with pip install Flask command, I have already installed the backend part in my project folder. But with this, I can't have the front end part. So now I need a folder which says my front end part. This is something which templates is an industry standard word. Now this is something which, see, someone has developed something, at least you need to follow those protocols, right? So try to follow these protocols. This is that simple. Don't try to get into technical and why templates, why not HTML pages, why not HTML name. No, someone has done something for you to do copy and pasting, but they have made some protocols to use this thing so that my code works fine with for this. So they have made some protocols that name whichever part you want to develop front end part, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all that. Make sure that that is saved in a templates named folder, because that is how the Flask library is developed. I am again stretching out. Why? Don't ask me or don't think that, why templates name, why not HTML, or why not myself name? to save all the HTML part and all these things which will make my life easier. No. Python is not that much savior for you. So someone has developed and already written a code, but they have given you some instructions. Arey, Baba, if my code wants to work in your folder, please do follow these instructions and follow these for industry standards. So this is something which, if you want to copy and paste some other's project, or if you want to clone is something which, if you want to do that, this is the basic structure everyone follows. So you people also try to grab it and understand it. Don't get into, I'm telling you again, don't get into much technical. Just remember that, okay, all the front end parts should be saved in a name folder called templates that has to be created. Simple. Okay. Now in this, I will just create index.html, which is just a formal name for the front end part. Okay. And the beauty of the VS Code is, if I click exclamatory mark and press the tab button, I will get the default code that is called boilerplate, a technical word which says that by default a template which your code can execute in programming terminology or in technical word. This is called a boilerplate, or itself a default syntax. In simple words for you, make sure that you understand it is a default syntax or a pre-written code which we can execute with h1 all this time and save it, and you can execute this index.html file. But as I consider that you people don't know the HTML and CSS also for now, because we are completely getting into copy and pasting where how the code works. So don't get into this. So for the people who don't want to develop the front end part also, the front end people have developed a framework. Now for the Python people developed a framework for web applications that is called Flask. But HTML and CSS guys and different guys have sat together and have developed something library where you people can copy and paste so that you can get the front end part. That is Bootstrap. Now don't search and all that. Bootstrap is something, a framework. Framework is, as I told in a layman language, in simple words to understand, someone has written that code and you want to copy and paste it and make your life simple. So this is the Bootstrap website, getbootstrap.com. This is the front end framework. Flask is something for Python. This is something which is for the front end part framework where you can copy the code. If you don't know HTML and CSS also, don't worry about it. This website will help you to copy and paste and get the front end part done, job done. So get into the docs website, quick start. I will not jump into that. Drag it down, have the starter template, get into the search for Bootstrap, get into the getbootstrap.com, simply get into the docs, search for starter template. This word says that copy. See this guy, simple with a copy. I no need to do all these things. Simple with the copy button. I will get into my code. This is index.html. Paste it. Okay. Now don't get tense about all this code. We will only concentrate on the code which is in the body. So in the body, hello world. That is only our thing. Just this is all nonsense. That forget about it. But make sure you copy the code has a starter template copy. Make sure you do that. Okay. And after copying it, make sure you get into the body. This is something which is important. Hello world. Okay. Now let's say hello sait. Save it. Okay. I have saved it. This web page with h1 tag. H1 is something heading. Forget all the technical words. What I'm doing is I want hello sait as a heading in my web page. For that, I have copied already written code, which is the Bootstrap framework starter template. I'm stressing it out. Copied the code from the starter template, copied it, and I have pasted it and just edited hello sait. Now come to the app.py. Now the thing is I need to connect this app.py to index.html file. Okay. So for that we have in the Flask a library. So till now I have just this line says that from Flask, import Flask, all the libraries. Okay, you have imported all the libraries, but this is something which make sure you import render template. Render template. See, that's why I asked and stressed that this is something your Python has developed library and all written something pre-written code, but they have suggested you these things because this is something render template is. This is something array, any template folder is available in this folder. Any templates named folder available in the project folder, make sure that you connect this Python file with that folder. Simple funda. This is something which in a layman language, now if technical, we do have technical words and that thing is different, but to understand you the concept, what is render underscore template is, this render underscore template is saying that from Flask, import Flask and also the template. This render template saying that if any folder which is named templates in your project folder, the files in the templates folder, I want to connect it. That's it. The simple word now is connected to this folder. Just adding render underscore template at the first line. What this Python file is doing is it's simply connected to this templates folder. But in the templates folder, what the file I have, index.html, which I have created and copied the code from Bootstrap. So let's take out this function for now. Return. This is something which is returning as a string, but I don't want that. I want to return HTML page. So return, same thing, return not a string. So render template and send it as a string index.html file. So what previously return only the string which is with HTML tags. I mean H1, P, P1, P2, all these tags, HTML tags, return them as a string and post them in the local host. But I don't want to do all that thing. I just need some HTML file where I wanted that HTML file to be posted in my local server. This is something which, okay, close it. Okay, this is something which I wanted to post it over here, not. So, okay, I have connected the templates folder with the app.py folder with just giving render underscore template. And for the function to execute this index.html, I have given this for this function index.html file. So if I have different function, I can add another HTML page and add that function to. Okay, I'll just show that to again, just like a click. So let's say again home, this time hello, I'm changing the word render template. Let's say I create another file in templates like contact.html. So here in template folder, again I have created contact.html. Now same thing, what we'll do is Control A, Control C, Control V, and all I need is body hello contact. Save it. Okay. So get into the app. Now this is, I have routed the home and given a new function name, again returning a template, but this time for this home endpoint, I want to render contact page. Okay, so for now, these are the two functions which are connected to the templates folder. As per these functions, as per their routes, they are connected to the HTML file. If I say contact or something, I was supposed to give any endpoint name. There is nothing to worry, but make sure that the endpoint which you want to render that HTML page is sync or not. So for now, I want the endpoint with the home to render contact HTML page. So make sure you save it. Is the server running in the background? Yes, it's running in the background. Let me, so right now this will throw me an error because there is no about endpoint in our program. So there is no about endpoint, only the default and the home endpoint. So let me get into the web page. Sorry, refresh it. So no endpoint, but we have a default with the bootstrap name saying hello something sait. Hello sait. Yes, I do. So hello sait. The default page should render hello sait. See, this is something hello sait the default, and I have written the another function with an endpoint name home. This should say hello contact, right? Hello contact. So this is how you do it, and because so if people who know HTML and CSS or something like at least how to link up the HTML pages, I can have the contact page link over here and directly click on that contact, and that can be redirected to that contact page. So in general, we do have like that only, right? We do have a menu bar in home, contact, about us, and all that stuff, right? So that is something which I was trying to explain it. You can do that if the people who have knowledge in HTML and CSS, where they can link those HTML pages in the same folder, something like that, right? So this is something which I wanted to explain it. So, okay, for now, what I will do is I will stick with only the index.html file. So I'll just take it out. So whatever work we will do, we will just do it in index.html file. I do know I'm taking much time, but just give me like, I don't want to make it quick, but stay tight. This is something which the original database hasn't been started yet. So please stick on to it. This is till now what we have seen is how we can connect to the front end part with our Flask. Only 50% we have completed till now. Only how our Python program can be connected to the front end part. We haven't designed any front end. Only the thing which we have seen is just a name which shows in the front end part. So what this code does, I think everyone got it, but don't worry, I'll just drop a PDF where you can get understand all the things. So for now, what this code does is redirect to the local host, and with this word, I have already connected to the templates, and in the templates for this function, I want to connect this to the HTML file. So till now we have done only the front end part. So what we need supposed to have is in the index.html, I want a form which says something like we want something, a contact form where the people who visit my website wanted to enter their email and username so that I can contact them back. So that has to same in my database, and in my free time, I will open the database and I will see whoever wanted to get in touch with me, and I will send the email back because I will have their email address. You can have anything in the form, but for now, I will add only two options, which is email and a name. So for that also, we were not supposed to write any code. What we have is the Bootstrap, which is the front end. So get Bootstrap, open this. So documentation, I need to jump. So what we need? Forms. So someone who already thought about front end part, they have already developed their forms. So what I'm supposed to do is just copy that form code and paste it in our code. So yeah, okay. So Bootstrap have all these already pre-written. See, customize and all that. I can do all these things with the content, typography, tables, and all that. See, all the tables I can print it out. But for now, just stick to the forms overview. Okay. Get into the forms. This is something which I wanted. Only the email address, the password thing, which we will change it. That is, we can do it, right? At the password place, I want just a name, not the password. So copy this. Below this, I have this copy code. Now, so I already told that. Just forget all the nonsense about the Bootstrap copy code. But make sure any changes, make sure you first copy the starter template and then do any other changes. Make sure get into the documentation and make sure you copy the starter template, and in the starter template body, you make any changes by directly copying the forms and all that, it doesn't work. See, in the body, I will take this out. I have already copied the form body, right? So after body, I'll just write a code which says this is the form body which copied. Okay. Control C, Control V. Forget about all the things. What I need is, I need the email address. Till here, I don't want to change anything. Okay, satisfied. But here at the place of password, I want to change it as a name. I don't want any, because in my application, if anyone visit my websites, I want their email address and their name. That is fine. And that is good for me to contact them back. Okay, what are your needs and all the requirements? First thing, let's say we are developing an application or something, a website, only having this form regarding all the website design, that is leave it under. The main logic is behind. If you want to develop all that, this is the thing which we, end of the day, we were supposed to do. So at the place of password, what I will do is, here, this is the password which, so at the place of password, what we need is name, save. Okay, and the one thing which I want to do is, this is something which we are doing it for ourselves, the email address and all that. But to make our life easy, end of the day, we want this form to be connected to the database, right? So to make that happen in a smooth process, even though with this, by changing this name, we can directly connect to the database, but there might be some glitches, there might be some complexities, which I don't want, and you people also don't want it. So to make it life simpler, for this is something till this is something for email address, till this code, this is something for name, this is something for checkout and all that. So I don't want this, remove this code. Okay, what I did is, I want this email address, this text field, and also we will never save this also. And at this place, I want name. I want this text field to enter the name, but I don't want this checkout. That is what I have did. I have removed that checkout. And now what the next thing we are supposed, as I already told, with this also, we can connect to the database, but there are some changes which we are supposed to do it. So what I'm doing is, for the first 3 lines at the place of email, the label for is something which, label for is something is saying that this email address, this is for only this. Label for is something which I click, now this field will be highlighted. See it? Okay, see, when I click on this, this is highlighted. When I click on this, this is highlighted, right? So that is what this code works. Label for, I have changed it to email. Why? Because to make it life simple, which these are the names which I need to add in the backend database. I can't add example, input, password one, all this that I can't add that long name. So to make it simple, what you need to do is label for change this name, and in the input type is something. In the ID also, I don't want that much big name. Email, save it, and you were supposed to add something, name is equal to name. Sorry, this is name is equal to email. The first field is for email, right? So this is the important thing which will play a key role in the database. So this name is something, it is a mediator. The name tag is a mediator where I can, whatever data is entered in this text field, I want to grab that through this name, and I want to call this name in the backend database. So for the this name also, I was supposed to give name equal to, for here I will give it as for name only, because this is something which I'm supposed to enter name, and label for name, and what input type is text here, not the password. Password is something when you enter this, it will give it ... Text is something, this is something which you will supposed to see the content. So input type is equal to text, name is ID is equal to name. So don't worry, what I did is I have just shortened the names, edited the names which are already predefined, written by someone. Just for my convenience, I have changed the name and ID for these two fields and changed the for. So what I did is, this is the exact code which I have copied from the bootstrap. So what I changed is label for, I have changed the name and I have changed the ID and I have changed the name for label name and I have changed the name, added it to name has a name has an email and ID both for both the forms. I have added ID is equal to name or something ID is equal to email. These are the basic things and these are the things which we were supposed to have it to make the code simple way to connect to the database, because end of the day, what our agenda is, the user when supposed to enter the data, it has to be saved in the database. For these things, these are the some protocols which we were supposed to do. We haven't written any single line of code for now. Just what we did is just remove the previous name and have given the few simple names and added a tag which is name is equal to email, name is equal to name. This is for because we have given name. If there is a phone number something over here, I will be supposed to given as a phone only over here. But for suppose we are supposed to get two fields, which is for email address and which is for the name. So I have given this name as a name and a name. Okay, so for now we have completed the front end setup of our Flask application. Make sure is this executing or not. I'll just make sure. Okay, this is something which it is ugly, I do know, but this is something which end of the day I want to enter something.com and my name and I want to submit it, and this has to get into the database. This is the main picture. Beautifying the front end part is something which we can do it anytime, but the functionality is important and I'm making it simple for you guys. How does it work in a simple way? So this is all the code which I have copied, and to make it something better, just give me a minute. What I will do is, okay, this is something. Okay, control X div dot container. Don't get into it. This I'm just to predefine the class. Okay. Okay. Previously, I have forgotten to tell you about, to stop the server. All you need to do is Control plus C, so that the server will be stopped. And to activate it, that is a simple command which you are supposed to give a play button over in the VS Code, where you are supposed to get the output. Okay, see something. Okay, let's forget about it. Okay, that is what I have done the mistake. Container spelling wrong. Okay. Okay, this is something. Okay, good. That is something which it came into the middle. So forget about that container div dot all that. That is something which a class predefined word which is already written in the bootstrap that I have used it. So till now we have created a folder, and second step, we have installed the VS Code and make sure that the Python is installed or not. And then later we have created virtual environment with a command. I'll give you all these commands. Don't worry about it. And after creating it, we were supposed to run it. So I have run that to activate the virtual environment. And then later, I have created a Python application file where all the code has to be written. So I have, from the Flask minimal application from a website, I have copied the basic code and I have written in app.py file. And to make it life simpler, I have added 2 lines which will directly run the Flask application in the local host server. Flask is something pre-installed with the server where you can connect to the database and all that, blah, blah, blah. Just for time being, just think that Flask is pre-installed with the server. Flask came with pre-installed with the server. For different languages, for the other languages and for the other frameworks, it has to be done by the third party. We were supposed to connect it separately for the programming languages, but Flask is something, Python is something intelligent, where they have developed the Flask in the Python programming language, and local host, I mean the server is pre-installed. Okay, for now, after running the application, the server is running behind the screens. Okay, for now it is good. Now, to get into the picture, I need to create a templates folder. Templates is something, a protocol which the Python has been written in it to get connected to the Python program. So here's something which we created a templates folder, and I have created index.html basic HTML file, and I have written the basic bootstrap code, copied and pasted the starter template. And this is something which our front-end UI part is ready with the form. And app.py is something which we will be routed with the basic. I have removed the other function. So this is something which when I start the local server, it will be directly opened in the directly I will get the index.html file. When I run the server, this is something, the first function which will be executed, and it will be opened hosted in the local server, which is index.html. The index.html is something which I have written the form, the basic form, where I was supposed to enter email address and the name. Till now, complete cinema. Okay, now the main picture is something climax, which is database. Database is something Flask. I already insisted that Flask comes with pre-installed databases, which pre-installed database, which is SQLite. So to install the database and connect to the database with the application, but the Flask is something different which makes our life easier. So the first thing what I need to do is, so till now we have installed in the project folder is the virtual environment and the templates folder for the UI. We have installed Flask and virtual environment in our project folder. So as I said, virtual environment is something which we can install all the dependencies using the pip command in the folder. So what we needed next is database software in this folder, because I want to connect my application with the database. So to install the database in this folder, what I am supposed to do is first stop the server if it's running. Even though you can open the new terminal and run behind the background, but to make it and to make you understand, at present the server is running. So Control+C, which will stop the server, because while running the server, you are not supposed to run, or you are not allowed to run the pip command. So how we installed Flask, you remember, right? Pip install Flask. So to install the database in this project folder, same way. And have you remembered that pip is something which works only with the softwares already developed in Python, which is developed with the help of Python. So SQL Alchemy is something which database you are using it, SQLite. So I'm using pip command. So what does it mean is our database is also developed in Python only. So that is the something why it is pre-installed and it came with the Flask. I told you and stressed before that pip is something which only helps you to install all the dependencies, libraries, and softwares which are developed in Python only. So if I am installing the databases, that means our database is also developed in Python only. So pip install Flask SQLA capital Alchemy. So no, again I'm stressing out. No need to remember all these commands. Just remember the flow. First create the folder and all that. Okay. Just remember the flow. So if you remember the flow, end of the day you can search it on the Google, and what you need you will get that code. Okay. So remember the flow, not the commands. Commands you will get it automatically if you do 2 to 3 applications. So as I said, pip is something which is supposed to run only the Python softwares which are developed with Python only. So Flask SQL Alchemy is already developed in Python. So Flask is because that must. So see, something which get hype is something is most people are using it. See, if people nowadays saying AI is AI machine learning and all that, Python super. No, if Java have so many libraries with the machine learning, everyone will say Java only, not Python. End of the day, library, simple words in a layman language. End of the day, I am a programmer. I should have already written code which will make life simpler. I will jump into that programming language. Okay. So don't ever think that Python is great, Java is great, .NET. No. End of the day, if you have the flexibility, all the packages, all the libraries already written, most people support is there for that programming language, that will automatically get hype, because all the people will jump and say, array, I have made that application using Python. Why? Because the libraries. See, till now I haven't written single line of code on my own. I have already mostly copy and paste only. So that is something which people should keep it in mind. If something is getting hyped or something is getting popular, is something all most of the people are sitting and writing the functionality where people like us can copy and paste and do the applications like this. You got my point, right? Something like tricky or something. So the main funda is something already written which will make your life simple, right? End of the day, if you learn with copy and paste and if you do the college application, that is something good, right? So you could understand and how the life will be. Now sitting and writing all the logic behind it and writing the loops. Array, I missed that loop. That is not the way the programmer want, or end of the day you want to make your life complex or which is hard. So let's get into out of the topic. Let's get into pip install Flask. This is the database which I want to install in this folder, not in the laptop. In this folder, I'm stressing it out and press enter. This will install all the backend data in my project folder. So after that, I will be I'm supposed to see successfully installed message. Something again I'm stressing out. If you haven't seen, array for Flask I have seen successfully installed. For SQL Alchemy, sir, Karthik sir, I am not able to see successfully. Okay, uninstall Python and all that, install it again, run it again. Somewhere your Python is, your pip is not able to run and install the softwares. So that is the funda. If Flask is able to successfully install, it doesn't compulsory that other dependencies or other softwares will install smoothly. So if any error, if we don't get internet, simple funda, we will turn off the router and we will turn it on, right? Same in the softwares also, same. First, if something is not getting installed properly, that is not your laptop fault or something. This is the software which might not install properly in your laptop. So uninstall it, install it again, start it, try it. That will help you. Most of the 90% issues will be resolved by uninstall and install. Trust me, guys. So this is something which I have installed the software. So after installation the Flask, have you remembered what I did? From Flask, import Flask. So now currently what we have is only database installed, but we are not invoking. We are not connected to this app.py, our database. So to do that, we have from Flask. Now this code, don't need to remember, just Google it, how to import Flask SQL Alchemy, you will get this first line of code. Okay, so don't worry about it. Just try to remember the process and why we are doing it. See, so before for the Flask, after installing it, why we were supposed to do it? Because okay, the Flask is installed in the folder, but it is not connected to the app.py. Your app.py is your code, not the Python code. Flask, pip, VNV, all these are the Python code that are intelligent and they have installed on your folder. But app.py is something which you will be writing it. So your app.py should know, okay, already something is installed in this folder. I want to get those libraries in this app.py. Okay, app.py is something your brain. You have to let that file know that array already software is installed. Try to open it, try to use it. So this is what we are doing it. So what I'm doing, database is installed now. So I need let the app.py should know that array database is installed in folder. Now work on it. Okay. So from Flask SQL Alchemy import. This is something which you no need to remember once again. This is something which you should able to do it with the Google reference Google. Okay. So with this line, my app.py is now able to use the software installed in this project one folder. This line is simply doing that only. With this line, my app.py is able to do and connect. I mean, able to connect with because it's installed successfully. I already informed you that if something I have written, see, Flask SQL Alchemy is not something installed in this project folder. So it's showing the yellow line. Okay, so that is how you were supposed to. If without installing, I'm writing this line, obviously it will show this line error only. Okay, so to know, I mean, this line is saying that, array, if there is any database installed named as SQL Alchemy, please take all those libraries and make sure that I have to get connected to it. Simple. Okay. So this line is simply saying the same thing, Funda, which in simple words, I think people are getting it. But anyway, I'll share the documentation about how it works and all that. So don't worry. So this is something my app.py is able to connect it. So there is no error in this line is successfully installed. Okay. First thing is connected. Okay. Now I need to do configurations for my give database name. So first thing what I will do is give a name to a database, which is something create a database and give a name. Okay, so this line, this code is something which it will be doing it. Okay, for this also I don't remember that all that nonsense code. So what I will do is SQL Alchemy URI is something configuration related database URI. So first open this configuration. Okay, I have this. Okay, SQL Alchemy database URI is something which is configuration for the database in the Python file. Okay, the database URI that should be used for connection. Okay, example, I will copy this code. This is something which it has to be done. Okay, now copied. Sorry, I need to do this also. So just okay, Control X. Okay, what we need to do is app.config. I'm not able to remember this name. You could copy this thing also. Don't worry about it. For now, for time being, I'm writing it alchemy underscore database underscore URI. That should be the copied, the one thing which we copied. It has to be in the string. And okay, this is something which I'll explain you what this line is doing. Okay, what this line is doing is app.config. Okay, this line is something which telling that config my database with a name test.db in a temporary folder which has to be created over here, which has to be created a temporary folder. This line is saying create a name, create a database with a name test.db. I can here give sait.db or any whatever you want to give name to your database, you can give over here. So for this line, if you want to give any name which you wanted, you should edit this test.db. Okay, what this temporary is temp / what they are doing is, okay, this is something which if there is any temporary folder named as tmp, create inside that folder this test.db. I don't want that. So what I will do is, you need only 3 dashes for technical, just for remember, you need only 3 dashes and your database name to create the file over here. I mean beneath the app.py. I want my database file to be created over here. That's where I have removed that temp. This is which I want to remove it, only 3 lines, remember. Or else if I can run the previous command also, but what it will do is it will create a folder named as tmp, and inside that folder it will create test.db. Okay, that is why. But just for common, I mean this will make it understand. So I have removed that, and with the 3 lines test.db, you can give any name you want. You want your name with the database name, give it your name, or Saraswati College.db or sait.db, any name. Just for learning purpose, I'm giving it as a test.db for now. This line is something, config the database in this file, config the database, which it has to be create with a name test.database. This line is something saying that, array, config, I mean do a setting and create a name for the database with test.db in this folder. Simple. This line means that app.config SQL Alchemy database URI is something which connect to the database and name the database with test.db. That's it. No other thing. Now we do have another thing which the Flask is pre-built with notification. I mean, if I something like I want to do another configuration setting also, what you are supposed to do is 2 configuration settings. One is to connect the database. The first line is what it is doing is connecting to the database. This app.py is connecting to the database and creating a database with a file name test.db. And the second line is, which is something which SQL Alchemy, what I need to supposed to say to Flask is, and SQL Alchemy is modifications. What the second line, what I'm trying to say is, what the second line is, any changes, because I have changed the temporary and all. I already, before I told that, array, someone has built you for something and you can't make more flexible. You can do that, but it's up to you, and make the code complex. It's up to you. Here, I want that test.db file beneath the app.py. I don't want any temporary folder to be created again. And in that, I want that test.db file. So I'm changing something which is pre-written. So for that, SQL Alchemy, any modifications which happens, please allow them. Please don't stop them. That is the meaning of this line. Some simple. Any changes, even though if I do this or if I don't do this, it's always a good practice to let your file and let the Flask will override that. I mean, any changes which are pre-written, help my code to rewrite it, and help my code to overwrite it, which will get the exact, or which will be desired output, which I can be get on. So these 2 lines are only, that is the meaning of these 2 lines, which you can refer with the Google and copy and paste it. This is not something which everyone will remember and write something like app.com. No, this is something which is a basic. What I want to do is connect to the database, create with the file name test.db, and the modifications which I am doing, please do overwrite. And to create this and to run this app, previously what this code is doing, app.run is running your Flask app. But to run the multiple, I mean, in the parallel, I want to run at the time the database also. Database also should also activate, deactivate, something like that. So it has to be run in the background. So whenever I run this program, db is equal to, this is also something which helps to, I'm sending this Flask app instance to the database. This third line is something, right? Same like this will help to run the Flask app. This helps to run your database app. Simple, 2 words only. So what I did is just install the databases with the pip install, and after pip install Flask, I have just used this import so that my app.py can use all the libraries and pre-written code in the SQL Alchemy. And I have written these 2 lines, which is to config the database and name it as a test.db. And to run this database in the backend behind the scenes, I have written this line. So now we have configured and the front end part is ready. And we have just created the database and we have written a code to run the database. That's it. Now the main something is which email and the name has to be saved in the database. When user enters something in the field, that has to be saved in the database. So I need a table. Anything, any database, our data will be saved in the form of tables. Simple, in simple words, I created a database for now, but I need to create a table. But what's the beauty of Flask is we can create the tables with Python code itself, because our database already written in Python code. So we can write the tables also, the database tables also in the Python code itself. So to create a table, this code is something which just creating a table. Okay. Now till now what we did is installed SQL Alchemy, imported it to app.py, and now what I'm doing is the user which he wants to enter the details over here, it has to be saved in a table format where the client can see I mean, if you are doing a web application to a client where he needs a contact form, so end of the day the client has to see that email address and the name what the other end of the people has written it. So I need a table for that to see the database. So to do that, we have the Python Flask is the beauty that you can write the database also in the Python code itself. You no need to learn SQL and all that stuff. You are not supposed to learn all that stuff. With the help of Python code itself, you can write the basic queries which are helpful to create a basic application, web application. So to create a table class, I'm giving a table name as a test. So just for now, I'm using it as this is something that class. So Python is all about object oriented. So class, objects and all that, but will be. So this is something, no need to explore all the OOPS concept now. The line something is that, okay, class test is something table name. This test is something database name. Database is something, it will be folder created. The file will be created over here. This small letter test is something which will be created over here. And this capital letter test is something, the table name. This is database name. This is the table name inside the database. And this is something which I am sending inside it in the class is this test is related to the database. So this will be a table name. So whenever the multiple users will be inserting the username and the data. So first thing, by default, even though I have not given the serial number, but by default in the database, I want in a table structure 1, 2, 3 email address, name. I want in a way structure where serial number and email and in the database. So first thing I want to declare is serial number is equal to db dot column. This is something which we are creating a table. So db dot it should be integer and it will be automatically incremented inside behind the scenes. So just for now, and primary key is equal to true. What I'll explain you. This is true. What I did is I don't want only the email address and name to be in the database. I want something serial number which has to be, each name and email address has to be with the serial number in the database. You could write this or you don't want. This is something which for a good practice I am showing this. Okay, I want only email address, that is enough for me. Okay, ignore this line and write the next line, which is for email. Email is equal to, this is something which db dot column, same thing, but this is string. The names and all that will be string, right? So up to limit I will give 200 characters, and this is not primary because it can't be unique. Anyone can enter it multiple times. So nullable is equal to false. So this is something which I don't want to be null. I want something has to be entered in this field. So it shouldn't be null. I'm saying that it shouldn't be null. For now, just remember nullable is equal to false. It shouldn't be null. And the next thing is name. Name is something, db dot column, same. It has to be string and same. For now, I have created three columns in the table. The table name is this test, class test. The table name is this test, and the database name is this test. You can give any name over here and over here. Don't get confused. This test is something like database name. This is table name inside this database. You can give, for suppose you can give, okay, SCIT. Okay, so the database name is SCIT, which will be created over here. Inside this database, I want a table named as test, which the user enters and submit all the data will be saved in the database. So for now, we do have a technical word which I could explain it later, but REPR method, which has a string format. I can return the database instance in a string format. In this other words, I can explain you what this exactly does. Just give me a moment. Self.email and okay, self.name. It has to be in a string. What this exactly does is you can have any number of columns, serial number, email, name, phone number, address, pin code, in all these things you can have. But end of the day, if something which you save in a contact in a layman language, I'm telling you, this is not complete technical. Don't get that, okay, Karthik said representation is something like, but to make you understand what this method does is, it returns the machine understandable language into a string. Okay, you don't get it, right? So okay, I'll explain it. So in a normal day, you will save a contact number in your phone. Let's say enter first name, second name, contact, home number, mobile phone number. But while searching the contact, you are not supposed to see all the data, only name or the primary number. That is representation. I mean, I might have any number of phone number and all that, but I want in the database has a primary. I mean, try it now itself. You try to enter 2 mobile numbers and save it to one contact in your phone number. But when you try to see, open the contacts, it will display the primary number itself starting. After opening it, you will see the secondary number. That is what we are doing here in the representative. It might be any number of columns, but I can select what it has to be displayed in a string format to make me understand. For now, just think about it. Don't get into technical. It will kill. Already, we are out of time. So, I'm letting you know to make it simple. There might be 10 columns over here, phone number, address, and all that. But I wanted what data is inside this table with simple format I should understand. So with email and name, I could understand what is something inside it. So that is what this is doing in simple words. In the technical words, it's completely different picture. But to make you understand, for now, just think it in a simple, in a layman way. If you try to save any contact with 2 numbers, it will show you primary contact. Once you open that contact only, it will show you. You can select the secondary or something like that. But our phone software is designed in a way that if you save multiple numbers in a contact, it will show you only primary contact in the display. Only if you remember that, okay, this guy have 2 contact numbers, you need to enter into that contact and call the second number. The same way this code, this 2 lines does. Okay, till now we have created the database and we have what we did is we have just written a table with a class and we have so to create a database, now we have just given the name and connected it. We have just given a name and connected it. We have not seen any sait.db file over here. So we have not created it. So to create it, what we are supposed to do is get into the terminal. If already your server is stopped, so this command prompt terminal, I want to enter into the Python shell. This is Windows command prompt. This is Windows command prompt. But after installing Python, you people might, while starting, if you Python do have a shell, IDLE. If you install the Python, you will get IDLE. So to get into that Python shell, what I am supposed to do is make sure the server is stopped and make sure you are running in the environment itself. So what we are supposed to do is we have just given the name of the database and connected it, but we have not created it. How? See, we don't see any file created with sait.db. Database is not created yet. And what this code saying is we have just created a table which should be saved inside this database. That's it. Creating with the database and creating the tables is with completely with the Python code. And we have sending as a parameter that this is something which says that this is a database model. Okay, so what I'm supposed to do is I need to enter into the Python shell. So enter into Python shell. So currently I'm out of virtual environment. See my arrows, I'm out of virtual environment. What I am supposed to do is to create this and run this with this. So after that, I'm not able to change the name because while creating itself, I already run the server after saving it. So that's the way which I am not able to save it. So the next, this is something which from the app.py import database. Now there is a query which says that db. Only these 2 queries, which is enough to. This is something which after entering it, you are supposed to create the database in the folder. So let me get into the things now. Just give me a moment. Okay, and after running this command has to be created. Okay, just something. Okay, it has to be. Okay. something, just give me a moment, guys. Something which I'm not able to create the database file over here. It has supposed to be. So I have imported the Flask SQL Alchemy and the modifications is false. Okay, so create the database with test.db and what my so nullable and a representative and the string. Okay, nullable email and db.model, and I have sent the SQL Alchemy into the app and SQLite 3 and test.db. Okay. So just I'm just running the debugging it. Just give me a moment. One minute, almost done. Okay, I have been debugging it. I will just something which is wrong with the VS Code. Just give me a minute. I'm just closing it and try to open it again. Okay, just a minute. Map info db. Okay, see, this test.db file has been created by writing these two commands. This is just a bug which sometimes it do happens. Just as I said, close the VS Code terminal and do the stuff. It will definitely work for you. So this is something which the test.db file is being created, and inside this, what the other thing which you were supposed to do is, just give me a moment. Okay. This SQLite is completely, with console view, which is something which is hard for us. So we do have someone who developed it, SQLite viewer, where you can view our database. We can drag this test.db file, which is in the folder, and the data which is inserted in that, you can simply view in a table format. But till now, we have just created and we have written only the code, which is, so once I will exit. Okay, so this is something which what we have is, we have just created the test.db file and we have just connected with this database and with this table name, and also we have created the fields. So to connect our front end part, I mean this index.html, we do have this email. When someone enters into that email, at the starting, you people remember that the name equal to, I stressed it out, this name field is something which is very important, where you people supposed to connect to the database. That is where this input field has been given, name equal to email, name equal to name. If it's phone, name is equal to phone. If it's address, name is equal to address. As many as there are fields, you are supposed to give name is equal to the type of the field which resembles that. This name is something which is very important, and that is which is mainly behind the scenes will be connected to the database. Actually, I could simply say is it will work with the database. So now get into the data app.py. Now in this method, we should define hello world. Okay, before that, all these things are you are supposed to import request, because get and post, these are the two basic HTTP methods. Get is something which is only for website. I already explained you about website is something static. There are no requests or no user can input their data, and all the data will be which you see is only text, images, links, and all that. That is a website. But for a web application to send the request, I mean, here in this web page, I'm about to send. Okay, server is not running. Just give me a moment. Okay, in the Bootstrap, we have seen that this is something which you were supposed to. Okay, forms overview. Okay, here at this form, you are supposed to enter the data and submit. I mean, this is something you are requesting the other end one to accept my values, or this is request is something from your end, and the other end people might be requesting the same way, that input your data and send to us. So the thing which you post it, I mean, I'm entering over here something and submitting. This will works as a post method, and the get method is something which you are seeing and not requesting anything. If I click on the overview, this is just a get method. I'm not trying to insert anything or not trying to send any data from my side. This is only the get method. See this form control. If I click on this, this is get method. But when I try to enter and submit this is the post method. So these are the basic two methods. Mainly 80% of the web application heart works with get and post method itself. Later you do have update, delete, put, and all that. But currently concentrate on post method, which is you are supposed to enter anything in that web page. That page should be a post. So in the Python code, we were supposed to import from the Flask the request method where this code will be requesting it, and app.root also, this page, the route page, if something is there also, it's fine. This route page endpoint is also, this will be methods equal to get and post. By default, your app.route is get method. If you haven't given any method, by default it is get method. But this index.html is something which I want to post the data to the database. So this is something which has to be worked with the post method. So here the method is post method, which will be working around, and in the function, now I want to connect the front end part with the database and save all the data entered into it has to be saved in the database. So if request, what I will do is simply explain you this much time. Okay. If request.method is something which then only the code logic has to be entered, email has to be requested from the form, and I'll just explain you, don't worry about the code. And this is something which it has to be commit something. And don't worry, I don't remember all this code, but the thing is with the references, you can know how to make it work. So the function basically resembles the index.html, which our code is supposed to enter email and name and save it into the backend database. So it has to be a post method. So we were supposed to give the app.route with get and post. And if request.method equal to post, you were supposed to do this. So email, this email is the name of which we have represented in index.html, this thing name. This is something, this email name is equal to email is this thing which the data which is entered in the variable name is equal to email request.form and save it in the email variable and save it back to the this email. This is this one. This is front end part, name is equal to name, and this is which we have given in the table. In a column, I want to save it. So make sure again, this email is equal to is the front end part, which I have given for name is equal to email in the text field, input type text field. And this is the name which I have given in the input text field in the front end. And this request.form, and I want to save it in the database in this variable, which is I have given in the table, test table. Okay, this variable is this, and this variable is from the front end part. Now to retrieve and save it, I need a variable, and this is something which created an object for every class. We were supposed to initiate, and at the first slide, I have told you that if no object is created, that class is useless. So I have created an instance object for this test and inserting these two details in a variable. And this is something which db.session add test and add commit is something a basic commands where you were supposed to add into the database. So for now, what I'm supposed to do is I will just, okay, I will save it and I will try to run it. Okay, it's able to run and make sure as it, okay, let's say sait@gmail.com and write sait. Okay, things working on. Okay, now open the VS Code terminal. Okay, now see here, when I just opened the website, it was a get method, but when I submitted it after took 5 seconds, something like that, but when I submitted it, it was being a post method. So this is the test.db which I have been entered and saved. Currently I have entered what I have entered, sait@gmail.com and the name sait and submit. So as I said, we do have someone who already developed to view in a table format regarding the database. I can't, that is not good to see in a console regarding the database. So what I can do is open the browser, which I have already opened this SQL, right? Drop file to load the content. So directly I can drop the .db file, drop file. So what I have created, project one name folder. So in this, okay, something which, okay, what I will do is I will directly okay, just give me a moment. I will open it in the other screen and I will try to drop it. It's not able to possible. Okay. Might be, just give me okay, this is okay. So sorry, my bad. This is with something other folder. So I have entered 2 times. So currently the details which I have entered is able to be refreshed. So let me open it in the other monitor which I have just to refresh it. What I will do is So currently in the database, we have 2sait@gmail.com. And so currently what I will do is, my name is Karthik@gmail.com and name it as a Karthik and submit, and something like sait@hotmail.com and write it as sait2 and submit. So I'm able to post the data in test.db file. So as I said, what I'm supposed to do is open that folder and drop that test.db file in that folder. So just give me a moment. I'm about to do that. So just open the db project one, drag and drop it, and see. This is what I have entered it, and this is what you were supposed to get the details into the. This is the basic web application where your college might supposed to need, and this can be currently this is hosted in the local server, but it can be done through AWS. You can make it this website live, and through Heroku or different things which you were supposed to make this website live. That is something the advanced concept, but this is something the basic introduction where you can ask any business vendor if he doesn't have any website, you can make him a contact form and you can upload it in the live application and make sure that he get all the details and all that things through the basic application. So that is all the students. I took something long, but that is for, I just want to is anyone okay? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is all for today. Sorry that I took too long, but that is something which I made it. And in the comment section, okay, what I can do is I'll just share the PDF file about this, something that's the skeleton for today's project. I have just, this is something which will help you out. So this is the basic skeleton of the today's project, which it's like a story. You can completely get into with the each and every screenshot. So I'll just get into this. Just first check the Python version and make sure that you have installed the Python version, then create the virtual environment. Make sure you do and follow these commands. Make sure I have given this also. You can give any name here over there. And after running the virtual environment, you were supposed to get into that environment. So you were supposed to run this second command. And after running the second command, you were supposed to get this, which any other virtual environment name. And after installing the virtual environment, you were supposed to install the Flask and all that, and create an app.py and make sure you get into the basic code. The first options, two options, how to run the code. The first one is Flask app underscore set the Flask underscore hello in the terminal and run. Second option is add these two lines of code and you can directly run it. And make sure that create a templates folder and index.html and make sure you get into the Bootstrap website and get all this documentation and make sure that anything you want to edit, it has to be in the body itself. So index.html, now we have two files in the folder, index.html and app.py. And in the app.py, we have changed the two things. One is render.template, which we were supposed to get and connect the templates to our Python file. And the second is we have with the use of hello world function, we were about to send this index.html in this function and route it as a localhost server in the main page, which is 5000. Okay, this is something skeleton where you people, it will be a step by step, and at the end you can see the output by following these steps. What I have done is you could do within 10 minutes if you follow this PDF. At the end you will be supposed, and I have dropped the links too. So please do consider it and just help me to get the feedback about how this seminar is, and make sure I'll take help of Divya to how to share the PDF to you guys, and make sure you contact me if there is any doubts. Please drop a mail. The phone number which I might be with the other calls, because since I'm working with a couple of projects in my, so mail will something which will help you guys. So not rather than the phone. So that will definitely get in touch with you, help me to get in touch with you. So any questions or something which,
Yes, sir.
okay,
Yes, sir.
On our live YouTube.
okay.
Yes, Neha, please.
Yes, sir. So we have some questions from YouTube live chat. First is it necessary to create a virtual environment every time we create a project?
Yes, it's a good practice. I mean, see, if you know the basics of Python, okay, just give me 2 minutes. I'll don't. So if you know the basics of Python, previously the Python is 2 version, and now it's 3. 3 point leave the number. Previously, like 10 years back, it was like version 2x. 2x is something 2.2 or something. 3x is something which we are currently 3.10.1 or something. So 2x is something, 3x is something. So Python doesn't have backward compatibility. Backward compatibility means, for example, if you took Java program, Java is running with the 14 version now. So if I do any project in 14 version, the project has to be compatible with 13 version, 12 version, 11 version, 10 version, etc. But Python is not something like that. Python is completely independent. The 2x version is completely new Sigma, 3x version is completely new. So you don't know whenever the new versions will be released, and it might not be compatible to your dependencies. So that's why Python, it's a good practice to have environments. Might be a different version, a different Flask version, your client might be asking you to work on it. So if you are installing it directly in C drive, every time it will be taking that dependencies, that libraries, if you want to work on your project. So making it a virtual environment, I mean, separate folder. And see, you don't want to have songs and videos in the same folder, right? It is something like a good practice to have songs in different folder, videos in different folder, lessons in different folder, chapter wise. So that is a good practice to have the version control. End of the day, our project is all about the version control. Version control is, see, right now we all using the phones. That is something which you wait for. End of the day, you will wait for an update, and you want that your phone to be organized. The same way, make sure that your project is organized. That is what the programmers and the Python wants to. That's the way this virtual concept has been introduced. See, if that is possible, yes, it's possible, but maybe it might be a standalone application where in your lifetime you were supposed to work on that environment only. I mean, on that dependency, on that library itself. But if something, I mean, it doesn't make your life complex, right? Just creating a simple folder and make sure that the project folder will get all the dependencies which the client needs it, or which your project needs it. That's all. I think that will answer, Sneh.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This JavaScript files, CSS style sheets, and what you were asked about files, you were supposed to create static folder, which is named as static folder. And in that folder, if you save all those files, and it will be directly, you can view in your HTML web browser. So file uploads and all that, simply it doesn't have any new code. It's end of the day, it's the Python code itself. The Flask is developed with the Python code itself. So uploading files and all that, it's the basic Python which you were supposed to get with the reference. It's simple. I mean, that is not a big task about. Here we are working with the database itself. I mean, what we seen is we have inserting the strings, I mean, the names which you entered. I also said that at the same place, you can also insert the database file or a PDF file or a text file, and that can be inserted in your database also. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, how we it's db.string we have to, taken it, right? So for the file we have to took some other which you could take it with the reference. It's something which how to upload a file and with the help of database. This is the basic skeleton which I have given you. You can all add n number of fields. You can add checkboxes, file uploads, video upload, images upload. All that can be your database is something which could take all varieties of inputs. End of the day, what you need to do is just search the reference about okay how the database, how to upload a file, what. So for numbers I took db.integer. For strings I for alphabets and for the characters 0 to 9 and a to z I have taken it as a string. And for the files it might be something which I might be aware of, so work and just get with the reference with files or something like might be I was supposed to import files and all that in the Flask, so it might work. It is not that much advanced to upload a file in the database. It's something which you could work with the reference.
Yes, sir. I
mean,
think now this doubt is clear to everyone.
Yeah, that is because we are not been getting to that much advanced. I mean, see, to upload a file, just simply you can search. I mean, to upload a number, we are using integer. To upload as characters, we are using a db.string. So to upload a file, something like db.file, something might be there. Yeah. So that is not a rocket science for us to explore. And see, for me in today's session, I haven't written single line of code. It's all about the references. So first try to learn with the references and try to work how the code. First learn how the code works and what is it working and what is it meaning, the line. So end of the day, you could edit it and you could see different steps and you could add your customizations and all that you can work. End of the day, any application is about CRUD. See, if you get into Facebook, if you get into Instagram, something is when you click on it, it's giving you data. Something you post it, it's posting it on the database. Same this application, the one which is already in the database, we were supposed to write some functionality to get this databases in the web page. Simple functionality, that is something advanced, but for this only I took almost 2.5 hours or something. It's almost 2 hours, right? For this, just to insert the data. So it's something like just explore how to retrieve the data. See, today we have seen how to insert the data into the database. Just think about Jinja templates. I thought about to cover it, but with the help of Jinja templates, you are able to get the Python code or the Python variables to the front end. So that is something which comes under the advanced Flask and work with the CRUD operations. And SQLite is something which the inbuilt database which you guys can upload to servers, AWS and all that and work on it. But you can something advanced Flask is something which you people should explore it to get into industry standards. For today, for this seminar, I thought to explore the basic. I mean, I do see that people struggle connecting to the databases and inserting the data and see how it works. End of the day, that is what the people wants the application to, right? Any application, if you want a banking application, it's all about inserting and retrieving data and some logic, minus, plus, that's it, right? So, yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So now we have come to the end of this webinar.
Yes, I'll talk with connect with Divya and I'll make sure that the PDF reaches you guys, so that it's a skeleton. It's a 30 pages PDF, and if you follow those steps, you can easily make some application and make it live and upload it to the GitHub, guys. Make sure you upload the content in the GitHub. If you people are aware about GitHub, make sure that you people just try anything, make sure that you upload it on the GitHub. And I have just posted something in the chat. Please do give a feedback and what should be added and what I have missed it. Maybe some things you haven't been clear, or it should be explored over here, or some things you are being fast. So just give your valuable feedback for me and give the details, and let's see, we'll get in touch.
Oh, sure, sir.
Okay, thanks to all for being patient and listening to all this. But I hope you all guys have been enjoyed it through the course. And
Yes,
thanks
sir. This was
formally,
really
thanks to the
interesting.
formally, I want to thank you, the SAIT and the Saraswati College, for giving me this opportunity to connect with the students to explore the Flask and all the other various things, to share my knowledge. Okay, and hope I'll just take a leave for now, because I've been assigned for other call now. So hope,
Sure, sir. Just 2 minutes, sir.
sure, okay.
I would like to thank you for your great this webinar. This was a very interactive and interesting webinar I have ever attended. So, and for thank you for teaching us this wonderful side of this Python. I hope, no, I'm sure that we will able to make the beautiful website after this webinar. And I would also like to thank Dr. Manjusha Deshmukh for giving this opportunity to us to host this valuable webinar. And I would also like to thank head of our department, Miss Mahid Kenchandani ma'am, for motivating us, and Dr. Divya madam for support. And also I would like to thank my CIT member for all the effort they have done for this webinar to make it succeed. And I would also like to thank all these students who have joined the YouTube live section. I also shared the feedback link to everyone. Please show our your please share your feedbacks so we can help you to understand the better, and we can provide the notes also like the sir said. And this
Yes,
is
I'll just connect with Divya and make sure that it reaches you all. And yes, I forgot. I formally wanted to thank you, the head of the departments, the other two members who have been interacted, and just made this process smoother to interact and made this happen. Thank you all, and thank you the head of the department and the other who has been with me and helped me to get in touch with you guys. Thank you all, and
thank you
have a
sir.
great day. Bye.
Thank you sir.
And make sure, guys, you just give me a feedback about this, and I'll just wait for that. Okay. Thank you.
Sure sir. Thank you everyone. I hope you will have an amazing day.